Jeff, what a fantastic week coming back from Dallas, seeing the community coming together. And once again, Jeff, we're right there when that hockey stick is ready to kick off. You have just brought the world together talking about vCons. It's so good to see you again, my friend.
It's nice to see you. Thank you for all your help last week. Yes, we're talking about Spring 26 voice and conversations on the net. If you were there, you know exactly what we're talking about. And if you weren't, well, you just missed out. It was a conference really about a couple of things. And it's really an industry gathering. We had folks from across North America, and we had a couple of people from the UK. So we'll count that as a North America European gathering. But the real thing is that this conference was as much as about an emerging IETF standard known as vCons, which stands for Virtualized Conversations, as much as a much meta level, the evolution of voice and conversations on the net and the breakout of really what's going to be an industry, which I'm defining as AI communication industry. And if I were to reflect back 29 years to when the first vCon conference took place, it would be 30 years in September when I hosted or co-hosted the Talking Net. And then when the vCon events kicked off, the name of the event was Voice on the Net. Now, I never really called out how or what protocol we were using to put voice on the internet. And 29 years ago, 28 years ago, 15 years ago, 18 years ago, it was really about the fact that we are using the internet as a transport and we are putting voice on it. And a lot of people figured out how to. But it was about the whole phenomena of using the internet for voice, as well as the technical details of how do you make that work. And at Spring vCon, it was really the same thing. I was spelling out, while technically a vCon is a virtualized conversation and it's represented in an emerging IETF standard, which will hopefully come out this year as an RFC. We hope.
We hope this coming fall. We do hope that
by the fall it should actually be an RFC. But the entanglement in the most positive way of both being a protocol and being at a meta level, the fact that conversations now matter because they don't disappear. And what does that mean? That's why the conference is called Voice and Conversations on the Net, because there's a much bigger stakes. It's more than just a protocol. It's really about the building of an industry, bringing together many diverse groups, people who never heard about what we're doing to people who are most directly affected by what could be.
Right.
And when conversations don't disappear and conversations become memory that you could rely on, memory which can be part of the fabric of how you do your business and how your customers do their business, it changes everything. And what was really nice to see was over the past couple of years, as I've been hosting these gatherings for really the protocol itself, we've seen the breakout of early adopters and early builders and early innovators taking their ideas, putting it into action, and creating products. And I'm very well aware of companies that have active R&D, building hardware, building software, building solutions, building systems, all around the protocol. And at the very same time, it's also nice to see some people thinking about how to leverage this as a strategy for their business so that when they're building the next type of IT system, they now have something they can rely on where they could now offer their companies, their executives, the ability to have memory of everything that's been said before, whether that's in the form of a recorded conversation or an email or a text, or for that matter, any type of flow. And so it was a flow. When I talk about flow, I'm talking about theoretically, if every time there's a board meeting, somebody could record it.
Right.
And imagine there's pearls of wisdoms in those board meetings. Public companies, those board meetings are recorded, and people do have minutes of meetings. But the point is that if you're in a business, it's very easy to get caught up and have a great conversation and then forget what was really said, and you have the takeaways. And why this all matters is because, in my opinion, and this is something which I attempted to explain at the conference, and I realized I didn't do a great job. I mean, the thing is, if you look at cassette tapes or tape recorders, right? They can record a conversation, they record music, they record something. But if you look at an MP3, that represents an encapsulation. Why? Because at MP3, or for that matter, a file, a music file on my iPhone, it has the title of the artist, it knows the song, it has the metadata, has lots of information about the recording that if you used a cassette recorder, you wouldn't have. And that's sort of what we're getting at with the power of a vCon, is to build systems where we have all access to that underlying dark data that never came to light before. And when you can start to build AI solutions around the metadata that's embodied in the conversations, there's a magic there. And the fun part was, it wasn't me promoting vCons, it was everybody else. And it was listening to, conversations from why am I here, to what we're learning from these deployments, to things that are happening in the near term future. And what was also really nice to see is that the age group, it wasn't just one group of people that came. We had folks from multiple generations getting together. And that I think having an inclusive conference that brings together a multi-generations of people, thinkers, doers, very important. And I do think that our unconference that took place a week ago, while it may have been maddening to think about how you can do an unconference, because I didn't know many people in Dallas, and I was just on blind faith believed that people would talk about it. It's a shout out to those who came, because we had a combination of veterans from the telecom industry sitting together with folks who were just graduating from college who did not know what a vCon was. But by the end of the day, they had an understanding of it. And this is a recap show, so let's just do a recap. So we had an unconference on Monday, which I think was fun.
Yes.
And I really give shout outs to everybody who had the courage to participate. For me,
and raise their hand and not know many things about the unconference. They didn't really even know, but they knew that in their college or in their business, they needed something different to set them apart from the rest of the competitors in their space.
Yeah. So an unconference is really an unstructured conference where the agenda is set at the beginning of the day. It's not really a commercial activity, but it is definitely an opportunity to build community from the bottom up. And we succeeded with that. Shout out to Joe Mazzio, who unfortunately, due to a horrific accident at LaGuardia Airport the evening before, was not able to get to us, because not of his fault, because LaGuardia was shut down. And he gave a great tutorial on using AI in business in the afternoon. So Joe Mazzio, if you're listening, thank you so much, because that was great. And people are still singing your praises. That set the stage for a really fun evening on Monday night when we had our speaker VIP dinner. Frankly, you're a very important person no matter who you are. And we had a wonderful dinner locally, a few minutes away. And
did they see our video, Jeff? I mean, literally packed the house. We were busting at the seams. We had so much overflow. Over 80 CEOs together, C-suite leadership there in that room.
That was just fantastic. The buzz was great. I had the pleasure of sitting right next to Dag Peak, and just really appreciated his presence, and his presentation the following day was wow, sort of one of those mic drop moments about why conversations matter and why. And the dinner, though, was really nice for me. It's like I was sitting at the table against the wall, on one side of it. I put myself as my own guest. I didn't speak to the crowd. I just hung out and watched and observed, sort of like, being a guest at your own party. And for me, it was just sitting in the room and listening and just enjoying the fact that other people were talking and connecting, sharing and engaging, all those magical things that happen when communities build. So for me, Monday night, A++, that was just absolutely fantastic. And as Tuesday unfolded, I really enjoyed the momentum. I had a chance to open the conference, sort of set the tone. Again, not overbearing, I hope, just very comfortably. I was able to have a nice conversation with my friend Chris Fine, and we kind of opened up started talking about the power of vCons, and Jill was there, and we spoke about her amazing use of vCons for the public good with her 2-in-1 service in Kansas City. And that opened up the show for a really fine talk about regulatory policy that Glenn Richards led. And then we had a wonderful series of conversations. I have to say that it was just really nice to see everything come together. Um, I was, Oscar from Vonage, he was talking about it. He had the courage to give a demo, and he got the room though. His room, he didn't get the room because of anything. It was very natural. He got the room. People were listening to his presentation with intensity, and then when he went to do the demo, it didn't work. And he did it again, didn't work, and he did it again, and it didn't exactly work. But by the time that happened, he owned the room.
Yes.
Because being human in a world of AI is very magical, very endearing. And there's nobody who's been in that room who had to do a demo for somebody where it didn't fail at some point. I've been there multiple times, like, whoops, wow. But those are the moments you remember for the good, for the fact that we are human, they're no bots, and that we had the ability to everyone came together. That was great. And I really enjoyed Dag's talk. I loved Dean Bubley's wrap up of his panel, and where everybody spoke out, from Tony from Proof Contact all the way through with both Jill and Oscar and Dag, and that was really nice. And then we went to breakout sessions, and we had breakout sessions. It wasn't because the event was so large, but because in my mind we had so many topics I wanted to cover. And so how do you do it? You just provide it to the people, let the people figure out. And what was really nice was the competition weren't really other sessions. It was the fact that everybody wanted to talk in the hallway. And literally we had a lot of hallway conversations. And we also worked to have the lunch where people could just go within 5 minutes or 10 minutes and go wherever they wanted to and schmooze and connect. And there's nobody who went to the conference who I spoke to who didn't meet somebody, connect with a deal, get potential buy-in for a partnership, for an opportunity to do things. And the breakout sessions were great. I loved so many of them. I was really happy to see Rachel with Nile hosting their session with vCon applications. And of course, you have like these. How do you schedule things? Because I wanted to be in both rooms at the same time, so I had the
common problem. Common problem.
Because being the host, I could jump from session to session, but I really appreciated the people's energy, and it was the conference came together thanks to our sponsors, thanks to our speakers, and really thanks to the diligence of everybody who made it a point to be there. And some people had crazy travel on the way to Dallas. A lot of people had come through Europe, and so it's like, I jokingly say we had, Dean Bubley is from the UK, and other folks that are usually in the States, they traveled from abroad as well. So it was a really fine coming together. It's Dallas is the location I think you'll see our Spring 27 event at.
Yes.
And the second day of the conference, that went pretty well too. And I'm just, I could sit here and look at every session. The thing is, thank you to those who came, those who supported, those who shared their voice, because it was, for me, very impactful. And it was a reminder of why I still do this after 30 years. It's because when we see innovation on the horizon, the chance to connect with people to affect positive change, and in our particular case, have multiple generations get involved, that was amazing to me. To be able to be in that flow was great. And I say multiple generations because it wasn't a group of people of a certain age. It was, and you were there, Charlene.
Yes.
It was people from multiple different generations getting together. You had from the baby boomers to the Gen
Z.
And in fact, one of the standout talks was from a 21-year-old kid out of Montreal who was cutting class for the day to make his presentation. And I'm very grateful he chose to be in Dallas and not Montreal. He is definitely a rising star, and I hope he can join us in Atlanta, which just reminds me to say that today is March 30th. My sights are on Atlanta. We're going to be in Atlanta October 13th to the 15th. If you're interested about the future of voice and conversations on the net, reach out to us. Now is the time to plan the time. So block out your schedule, October 13th to the 15th. I've started the curation process. I've started getting confirmations of early speakers who said yes to the conference. Shout out to Craig Walker over at Dialpad. You said yes. I'll hold you. We remember.
Yes, we remember.
We do have our conversational memory is intact, and so but we have October 13th to the 15th, and it's going to be in Atlanta. And if you're thinking about AI communication, we will be the place to be at, where those conversations will be taking place. And I give a shout out to my sister Lauren Pulver, who behind the scenes makes all of this just work. Charlene, thank you for your help. Doug
Oh, thank
Green,
you.
yeah, thanks for all those videos. I think you captured everything in real time. Like, wow, that was great stuff. And so, anyway, if you're watching this, you're interested in the future of communications, put Fall 26 Voice and Conversations on the Net on your calendar, because that's where we'll be. And so over the next 7 months, I'll be focused on this. We have some meetups to announce real soon. The vCon Foundation meetup in Dallas on last Thursday was pretty good. I have to say, we had both local we support from the local Dallas community, as well as some folks who stayed for the conference. We had a vCon Foundation meeting. It was all good stuff, and we're growing. So we're going to have meetups over the next few months. The next one's going to be in most likely in New York City at the end of April. I'm looking at hosting one in the beginning of May in San Diego. We're talking about doing Chicago, talking about doing Boston again, talking about a lot of different things. So stay in touch. Charlene, thanks for all of this. And if you're interested about what's happening in the era of voice and conversations on the net, you don't have to go too far. A lot of great work happening. And if you're trying to figure out what you should be doing, think about the applications you could build. Think about contributing to the future of communications.
Thanks again, Jeff. Appreciate you. And thanks again to everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.